Hi everyone. Can anyone remember back in the days of fax machines, when every office had a court jester whose self-appointed responsibility was to compile a page of funnies and fax them off to their mates at other companies? Now of course today we've got Facebook and Instagram, and let's not forget good old email to share our warped sense of humour with the world. Proof that the only thing that has changed over the past 30 years is the sophistication of our toys. Which brings to mind one of those early fax funnies, variations on the theme of how many whatevers does it take to change a light bulb? For example, how many narcissists does it take to change a light bulb? The answer? Just one. They just hold the light bulb up towards the socket and the whole room revolves around them. Now of course churches weren't immune to this early form of spam either, with a list entitled Denominations and Light Bulbs doing the rounds for a while. And the one that tickled me, being part of the Methodist Church, was, how many Methodists does it take to change a light bulb? Change? Now of course this illustrates something that's probably shared by all of humanity, not just those of a Wesleyan persuasion. The fact is, we don't like change, even if such change is necessary and will be good for us in the long run. And the fact is that change scares us. It sets out an unknown future, and often we don't quite understand what's being expected of us. In this past Sunday's set reading from John's Gospel, Jesus speaks of a seed that falls into the ground and the need for that seed to die if it is to find life, bearing fruit and bringing life to others. This whole idea of dying to self, of leaving behind old things to embrace the new. Now of course Jesus was speaking in the context of the death that he was about to face, but dying to self doesn't necessarily involve an actual physical death, but one's life path often involves going through many deaths in order to grow and progress. For instance, no relationship can be sustained without fairly regular dying experiences. The single person must die to become united in a relationship or marriage. The couple must die to give birth to a family. The family must die to release the children to their own journey into love and growth. The same is true for community. The small group must die to become a community. The community must die to become an organization. And every season of growth, creativity, change, or reorientation requires a losing a life or leaving something behind in order to save life or to move into something new. Now it's perhaps one of the greatest challenges in our increasingly individualist and self-centered world to learn to die to the false life of an idolized self in order to find the true lasting life of intimacy and community. And the reality is that we may never be able to fully live outside of the systems of this world. And in some sense we'll always have to work within them and use them, and hopefully do so wisely. But we don't have to be devotees of the system. We don't have to give our energy and our resources and our time to sustain anything that upholds injustice and oppression, the kind that our systems too often generate. Now of course this whole dying to self, bringing about change, is hard. It's hard to admit that the things that we've done, things that we've known for so many years, many of the things that we consider to be tried and tested, simply no longer work. And yet we don't know why. And after all, they've always worked before, they've always been fine, and it scares us silly. And the reason why it scares us is that we realize deep down that to bring about the needed change will require a death. We can't build a new way of being without letting go of the old. We can't just tweak the systems. We need to release them in some significant ways and endure the pain, the death that will result. Death, birth and change all result in times of chaos before order emerges. And unless we can learn to embrace this chaos, this dying to live, we'll just carry on doing the things we've always done. And in the process we'll lose our lives. But if we're willing to take a risk and lose our lives in some sense, we'll often be pleasantly surprised to discover a new life waiting for us and for all.